All right, here we are. Welcome to Song and Story segment. I want to invite you to text the number on the screen, 260-593-1983. And when you text that number, we can give you a shout out and say hi to you. We have a couple of people here as well who came to the worship service, and we're really glad that all of you are here too. The question of the week to think about, and you can respond and answer to this when you text that number on your screen, or you can just maybe think about it as a family this week. What other gods are you tempted to serve? It might feel like kind of a strange question, but sometimes we talk about that we are tempted to serve money instead of God, or we're tempted to serve our activities. Maybe the things that we like to do become more important than God. What are the things that are kind of tempting for you to serve instead of God? That's kind of a big question, but something to think about this week. But first, here's our sing-along time. So stand up, grab some instruments if you want, and enjoy some sing-along.
Everywhere we go, God goes with us. This is a favorite song in our class, and the children in our 4- and 5-year-old class actually wrote the words to the verses you're going to hear and sing along, hopefully. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go. When we're playing games with our family, when we take a hike or climb a tree, when we're on our screens with lots to see, God goes with us. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go. Going round the world, flying in the sky, on a roller coaster that goes whizzing by. When we are afraid and really want to cry, God goes with us. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go, God goes with us. Everywhere we go. God is with us. God is with us all the time, in the night and in the light. God is with us. God is with us in the night. God is with us. God is with us. God is with us in the light. God is with us. God is here. Have no fear. God is with us. God is with us. God is with us in the night. God is with us. God is with us. God is with us in the light. God is with us. God is here. Have no fear. God is with us. God is with us.
Thank you, Deb and Jonathan and Kiara, for that lovely sing-along time. Now let's see if we have any call-outs. I know we have Rachel and her 2 grandsons are listening from North Carolina, and we have Hannah Lind here. Hi, Hannah. And we'll come back to this in a little while and see who else is joining us today. And remember, that's 260-593-1983. Well, let's begin by reviewing the big story. And remember, just chime on in with words that you want to fill in. And if it's not the same words that I'm saying, that's okay too. It's not like there's a right or a wrong answer for this. So God created the whole world, and it was good. Adam and Eve, all of humanity, missed the mark, but God stuck with them. God created a family to be a blessing to the whole earth, and all of them wrestled with the blessing and missed the mark, but God stuck with them. They became slaves in Egypt, and they cried out to God. God called who? Moses to be their leader. And God performed signs and wonders and parted the Red Sea, and the people were free. And then they needed to learn how to be people of God. So God taught them to live in shalom community with manna and quail. We call that what? Daily food. And 10 new rules, and wrestling with the law. The people learned the most important thing. There is only, how many gods? One God. And we love God with all our being. Our heart, soul, and strength is one way we say that. So then the people got to go to Jericho, to the promised land. And even there, they missed the mark a lot, but God stuck with them through judges and through ordinary people like Ruth. God called a young boy named what? Samuel to be a prophet. But the people wanted a king like the other nations around them. So Samuel anointed kings. First Saul, and then who was the second king? You remember that?
His name?
David.
Yep.
David was the second king. And then David's son Solomon was the third king of Israel, and he built something really big and fancy. Do you remember what it was?
The temple.
The temple in Jerusalem. And that was to be a gathering place for worship of God. Kind of like our church is a gathering place for worship of God. But Solomon and all the kings continued to miss the mark, and the king divided into the northern kingdom of Israel.
And the kingdom, not the king.
You're right, the kingdom divided. I think I accidentally said the king divided, which would be really interesting to watch. But it was actually the kingdom that divided into the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom, which was called Judah. So that's where we find ourselves now with these stories about the divided kingdom. Here's today's song. It's short, but kind of packed with information.
Yes.
Through a widow's gift and a prophet's cry, God gives life in desperate times.
Okay, so we are now into the time of the prophets, and we're going to call kind of this time what the prophets tried to talk about a lot, the prophetic vision, which was basically they were trying to tell the people what God's ideal had been all along. The prophets listened to God and saw what God was doing and tried to get the other people to do God's work. But what?
Didn't do it.
Yeah, you're right. They kept missing the mark. The prophets kept trying to remind the people through many different and creative ways that there was only one God,
Yes.
and that they are to love God with their whole being.
They went for other gods.
That's right, yes. Followed other gods and other things. So there was one prophet that Phil mentioned in the sermon today named Elijah. And Elijah was a prophet in the northern kingdom. And when Jesus was on earth, there was a lot of people who often thought that maybe Jesus was Elijah come back to life.
Yep.
But that's something we'll talk about in a couple months when we get closer to Christmas. Elijah, like I said, was in the northern kingdom. And he did something that, well, the king of Ahab, the king Ahab in the northern kingdom did something that was really bad. Malachi, do you remember what that was?
He worshipped Baal, which is like an idol or a false god.
Yeah. Yes. The king, worshipped this false god and led all the other people in worshiping this false god. And Elijah told the king, hey, that's wrong. Shouldn't be doing that. But Ahab didn't like that message, didn't like what Elijah had to say. So Elijah had to run away. He got to a river. He hung out by the river until the river dried up. And then he had to leave, and he completely left the country and went to a different country. And God led him to a country where all they did there was worship Baal, this false god that King Ahab was worshiping. But that's where Elijah met a woman, a widow, and her son. And Elijah spent a lot of time with this widow and her son, and a lot of really interesting things happened. Some miracles happened while Elijah was with this widow and her son. So check that story out this week. All right, on to the next story. Story number 2 for this week.
High priest finds the scroll of law. Josiah reads and tears his clothes. Huldah prophesies judgment and desolation. Josiah cries and changes like David did before him. It doesn't stop the consequences, but it postpones them.
Josiah was a king in the southern kingdom of Judah. So Daniel just told a story about the northern kingdom of Israel. This was in the southern kingdom of Judah. And Zeph, do you remember how old Josiah was when he became king?
8. That would be like me next year becoming president. Well, because I'm 7.
Yep,
Yeah.
You're 7, almost 8. Yeah.
How old are you kids? Can you raise? You're
8. There you go.
We have an 8-year-old here.
Are you ready to be king or queen? Okay,
She's
great.
ready.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm glad. And you know, just like what happened now with a young leader, there were advisors who helped Josiah until he came of age, until he was a little bit older. And then when he was a little older, he was cleaning out the temple. He had his priests cleaning out the temple, and they discovered a holy book. We think that it was probably some version of the book of the Bible that we now call Deuteronomy.
And it did have a lot of laws.
It had a lot of laws in it.
In it that were God's laws.
Yes, it had God's law in it. And when he read those laws, he became very sad because he realized that his people were not following the laws of God, that his people had turned away from God. So while Josiah was king, he did a lot of what we call reforms. He brought the people back to God's way. And like the song says, that return to God's way didn't stop the consequences. Like the way the people had been turning away from God still brought on some consequences. But those consequences were postponed. They were delayed until later, after Josiah had died. So that's the story of King Josiah, but I would encourage you to read it in your Bibles and your Shine On Bibles this week so you can learn a little bit more about it. And here's our final song for this week. God gives Jeremiah a picture of God's ruined family. Is there any hope left? Is there any hope left? Is there any hope left for you? Jerusalem, any hope? Any hope left? Is there any hope left for you? Jerusalem.
So I told already about this story of Jeremiah during children's time. And so Jeremiah was another one of what we might call a major prophet. There were a lot of prophets in the Old Testament, and some of them that we have long books of the Bible for, we can kind of call those the major prophets.
Like
and
Daniel.
The book of Daniel, the book of Isaiah, Jeremiah. And then there's shorter books of the Bible in the Old Testament, like Zephaniah and Malachi. Those are considered the minor prophets. So Jeremiah was a major prophet in the southern kingdom, in the kingdom of Judah, where the city of Israel is, or city of Jerusalem is. And this was about 100 years after after Isaiah was in the north, and that country fell to Assyria. Then Jeremiah was the prophet in the south. Zeph, we talk about the kingdoms, the kingdom in the north and the kingdom in the south. They fell. What does that mean when we talk about these kingdoms fell? Did they just fall over? Did the kings fall over, or what does that mean?
That means that Well, what they're meaning by fell
Yep.
is that it just went to them.
Yeah, it went to someone else. Another country came and attacked them and destroyed most of their big cities and places. And some of the people were taken away.
If someone steals a toy from you, that doesn't mean the toy fell to the other person.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a conquering.
Yeah.
Sometimes we use the term conquer, don't
Yep.
we?
So Jeremiah prophesied during a time when we talk about Judah, the southern kingdom, falling to Babylon or being captured by the Babylonians. And the Babylonians were like the superpower of the day. And this crazy story about Jeremiah and Jeremiah's underwear is one of the many different kind of object lessons that the prophets did, where they kind of did something to tell. Well, Malachi, can you kind of explain what the object lesson, kind of the way the prophets worked?
It's kind of when you take something like real and then simple to explain something that is more complicated and difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So this kind of object lesson way that the prophets told stories was what they did a lot and what God asked them to do quite a bit. So, Talasha, keep us going. Yeah, these 3 stories,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
3
for 1
stories
week.
for this week. But guess what? After this week, there's going to be 1 story per week. So this is our last kind of long set of stories because we are all caught up with the story now. As you read these 3 stories this week, notice that even when the people are forgetting that great commandment to love God with all their being and that there's only one God, God still sticks with them. In this really messy and sad time that we're reading about this week, God sends prophets. God is still at work. And God continued to work not just through the prophets, but through ordinary people like the widow. And I think there must have been lots of ordinary people who knew and followed God, just like that widow did. Well, let's see if we have a few more call-outs. We have Jane Short. Hi, Jane. And Dwight. Hi, Dwight. Good to know that you're here too. And to the rest of you who are here, we're really glad that you're joining us this week. Thanks for being here with us. Let's end our time with singing our big song. And Daniel, remember there's a page flip in here.
Yeah.
So
We've got to flip pages. The song is getting so
very
long.
Hi, Phil. We have a birthday today? Here? Whose birthday is it today, Phil? Brooks' birthday. So if you don't know who Brooks is the person that makes it possible for you to watch worship and song and story time and what's growing and all kinds of things every week. Mm-hmm. He's our technical director.
He knows how to push all the buttons and knows what the buttons do, like inside the devices too. It's crazy.
And how to make everyone look like they know what they're doing.
Yep.
Larry
He's probably going to cut out our
And-
sound right
and-
about now if we don't stop talking about him.
Yes, Larry and Josiah are also very important people in the sound booth.
I'm usually
But it's Brooks' birthday, so we're going to give him a little happy birthday song right now. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brooks. Happy birthday to you.
You're
Happy
welcome.
birthday, Brooks.
Thank you for everything.
All right, and now we will sing our big song. All right, ready?
Yep.
This is the story of how it all began. God made matter and chaos shattered. Eve and Adam, they tried to hide. The world got violent and God replied with a mark and a flood and a rainbow sign. God's love written on skin and sky. Then God called a family to be a blessing to the earth. A mother and her favorite son wrestle for a blessing. Another son becomes a slave. The land is saved from famine. God's family grows
Egypt oppresses, they groan to God, and God sends Moses 10 strange signs, say, please release them. By the sea, God saves them. The people complain, and God rains bread, daily food, and 10 new rules. 5 sisters come and ask for land. God says, yes, amend the law. Moses says, in your new life, cross the Jordan, love God with your whole heart and with all your being and your strength. Now listen, God is one, only God. God is one, only God. Cross over Jordan, stories and stones, circuits and shouts, and the walls come down. God sends judges like Deborah, and the land has rest. Ruth's worth more than 7 sons, redeem the lost with steadfast love. Corruption in the temple, and God sends Samuel. God gives them a prophet, they ask for a king. Does God need a temple? A wise king forgets. And when a bully rules the land, the nation tears apart and loses David's heart. Through a widow's gift and a prophet's cry, God gives life in desperate times. Josiah reads a misplaced scroll. He turns to God wholeheartedly, like David did in his time. God gives Jeremiah a picture of God's ruined family. Is there any hope left? Is there any hope left? Is there any hope left for you? Jerusalem, any hope? Any hope left? Is there any hope left for you? Jerusalem. God loves every one of us, it's true, and God loves the universe.
God does love you, and God does love this whole earth. Remember that God sticks with you, and have a great week. Bye.
See you next week.